It's me again, Ethan. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who do, what's up? Today, honestly, I debated a bit about what I would want to speak about. There's just a myriad of things that I want to address. But I suppose that I came to the conclusion that maybe it might be a little bit more beneficial to speak a bit more about myself and my own struggles. That maybe it might open the door for more people to feel inclined to reach out to me. Maybe someone can relate to it in some way, some capacity. Maybe just hearing me sharing my experiences might help someone else with whatever they're going through. Even if they don't reach back out to me, just knowing that they're not alone in what they're experiencing may help them, right? I've made videos touching on topics that I felt needed to be addressed because they were topics that I had struggled with myself. So my name is Ethan, as aforementioned. I'm 25, currently living in South Florida, but by the end of this month, I will no longer be living in South Florida. A lot of people are calling me crazy because I'm moving to Tennessee. Now, the reasons I'm moving to Tennessee, I can get into that at some later point. But let's just say that I feel like it's something I have to do, kind of for myself. I've grown up a certain way, being raised in a household by a single mom, never really knowing my dad, and never really having much of a father figure to begin with. I have an older brother. He's 3 years older than me, and I love him to death. I would do almost anything for that kid. At first, we fought a lot in our lives. As kids, we fought a lot, like an unreasonable amount. But I think maybe that's just a part of being a sibling. We fought and fought. But then I guess as we reached a certain age, we started to kind of realize our situation, being raised by a single mother, and not to discredit her, because I know it wasn't easy, but a mother who wasn't exactly always present. And so it kind of developed into this codependency that my brother and I had between each other out of necessity. Just because what else could we do to survive, And a part of being raised by a single mother was that we also moved around a lot. We never really stayed in one spot for too long, which I guess only further fueled my brother and my codependency on each other, because we were moving around so much that it felt like the only people we could, really be friends with was each other. My brother had me, I had my brother, and that was kind of it, because anytime we would move to a new area, we'd develop friendships, and then before you knew it, those friends were gone. we were gone. And we had to kind of forfeit those bonds that we were trying so hard to create and to hold on to. And, along with that came a lot of other issues as well, trauma from seeing the relationship that played out with my mother that reflected onto us, and I maybe mirrored in some of my own relationships with other women that I was dating growing up. And it wasn't healthy 9 times out of 10. I found myself sabotaging my relationships a lot. I found myself going out of my own way to leave before I had a chance to be left, right? And at that point, it wasn't just about the trauma that came with experiencing secondhand the relationships that conspired with my mom and whatever. At that point, it spawned from my own relationships and my own experiences as well, of being cheated on and stood up and left. So very quickly, I developed this kind of personality, this state of mind that the only person I could rely on was myself. That at times maybe I could rely on my brother because, we relied on each other for so much. But for the most part, that the only person I could rely on was myself. I kind of ditched my extroverted personality and forced myself into an introverted one, where I felt as though I was better off alone. And I didn't realize that doing that was only hurting me further, because I wasn't necessarily that type of person. I was very much more extroverted than introverted, and so isolating myself in that way only made me become more depressed and miserable and spiteful and bitter. I spent so many nights just awake until unreasonable hours, midnight, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., just kind of sitting outside, staring at the moon, questioning everything. Why doesn't anybody love me? Why am I always alone? Why does no one care about me? Why am I the one that has to go through all of the things that I'm going through? Why can't life just be a little bit easier? Those were the questions I often found myself asking anything that'll listen, anything that was listening at the time. I think I probably spent more nights crying back then than I have in the past, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And a lot of times I reached deep, dark points where I genuinely believed that maybe the only option was to just end it, But after the first time that I tried, I kind of realized that, offing yourself, it's only a permanent solution to a temporary problem, right? You can work out of your depression, out of your anxiety, out of your misery. And I wasn't giving myself that chance. And so after the first time I tried to do it and I failed, I realized the first thing, which was that, okay, maybe there's some validity to the claims that my mom made that God is watching out for me. Even though I was doubting at the time, I was like on the edge, So I was on the edge of coming back. Like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of validity to my mom's claims about God looking out for me. God has a special purpose for me. Maybe I don't need to go through with this because it's only a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and I should be giving myself the chance to see what life holds for me, right? Because we're all given gifts, talents, abilities by our Creator that we're meant to use to serve some form of purpose, right? And I hadn't given myself the chance to really discover what that was yet. But I guess, needed to find my way out of that darkness first. I was in a very, very long season of darkness. I would say it started maybe around the time I was 10 years old. A very, very traumatizing and inciting incident led me down that path, and I began to question God. I began to question my faith. I began to question my belief. I began to question my worth. I began to question everything. And it was probably not even until like maybe a month ago that I found myself finally coming out of that season of darkness. In a weird way, I feel like I've been awoken out of a coma because I had spent so long looking in the mirror and not recognizing myself, not liking what I saw. I had been allowing myself to fall a victim to my situation, to be a victim of my own mind, of my own thoughts and feelings, as opposed to taking control of them and allowing myself to rise above my environment, my experiences, my feelings. And it's been amazing to come out of that. But I'd be lying if I said that I'm 100% of the way there. I'm not. I still have moments where I struggle. I still have moments where I backpedal. And that's probably to be expected. It's only been a month, This video series, what are we on? Day 24? So obviously I started my journey a little bit before that, but even then, it's basically only been like a month. It hasn't been that long. Hopefully within the next couple of months, I'll make even more progress. Because as they say, it gets easier every day. But the hard part is being consistent. You need to be consistent. Because you will never get where you want to be if you're not consistently working towards it. You need to be consistent. And you need to make that decision every day that you're going to work towards it. Because it will get easier, but as it gets easier, you will find yourself losing the determination to continue putting in that effort that is required to make it easier every day. And you can't do that to yourself. You're only setting yourself back in ways that you shouldn't be allowing yourself to be set back by doing that. I did it for a long time. I would very frequently find myself in positions where I would start to get better, and then I would become inconsistent, and next thing I know, I'm falling off, and now I'm irredeemable. It's hard for me to get back to that place again. But now it's been a month of me being consistent, and I feel like no one can take this away from me. I can't even take it away from me. And I will continue to be consistent until I've eradicated the person that I was before, and there's not even a singular trace of who that person was, because I don't want to see that person ever again. I don't like that person. I don't like when I was him. I didn't like when I was him, I don't ever want to be that person ever again. And that's why I'm being so consistent. Despite how easy it may or may not become, I will always be consistent for that very reason. I cannot allow myself to slip back. And I hope that anyone watching this finds themselves in a similar position, a similar mindset. And if they didn't before, that maybe after watching my video, they do. As always, if you're feeling like you need to talk about anything, I'm always here. Just reach out through one of the social media links in my description. I'll always answer. Just remember that you are loved. You are capable. I'm proud of you if no one else is. God is proud of you if no one else is. And just keep going. Just keep going. Until next time. Peace.